Hello viewers, I welcome you to today's episode of Mathematics Made Easy with Olufisayo. In today's video, we'll be exposing us to, how to resolve this problem. Of course, one of our followers sent me this problem on our WhatsApp page, and he said we should, of course, expose him on how to resolve the problem. Now, when looking at it, this topic or this problem is under combination. So before we proceed, we are expected to know the meaning of combination and of course permutation. What is permutation? Permutation is the arrangement of numbers in a particular order. Arrangement of numbers in a particular order. Of course, permutation talks about arrangement of items where others matters. Now, permutation has a formula. N permutation R is equals n factorial over n minus r factorial. Now, this is the formula for permutation. Now, what about combination? Combination is the selection of an items where order does not matter. Now, before I go to that, permutation, an example of permutation is, when we want to select the three students which has first, second, and third position in a particular examination. You can see that it follows a particular order. Now, combination is the selection of items where orders does not matter, and it has the formula n combination r equals n factorial over n minus r factorial then r factorial. You can see the difference between permutation and combination. You can see, look at the formula for combination. We can also recall that combination has a formula n permutation r over r factorial, because whatever is here is what is a formula for what? For permutation. So we can easily say combination is n permutation r over r factorial. Now, what's the meaning of factorial? If I say 3 factorial, 3 factorial simply means 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1, which is equals what? Which is equals 6. What about 4 factorial? 4 factorial, which is equals 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is equals what? 4 times 3 is what? That's 12. 12 times 2, that's 24. 24 times 1, that is 24. So that is the basic concept of what? Of factorial. Factorial simply means multiplication of a number by itself, from itself to what? To 1. If I say what is 10 factorial, that is 10 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 8 up to what? Up to 1. That's the basic concept of factorial. Now, looking at this problem, let's solve this problem. The problem says if n combination r ratio n combination r plus 1 is equals 1:2, and n combination r plus 1 ratio n combination r plus 2 is equals 2:3. Find the value or determine the value of n and r. Of course, this n and r assumes a particular value. So how do we find it? This is how it works. First of all, let's look at the first equation. We have n combination r ratio n combination r plus 1 is equals 1:2. We all know what ratio means. This 1:2 simply means 1/2. Okay, now we know from the formula of combination that it has n combination r is equals n factorial over what? Over n minus r factorial r factorial. This is for this. Now what about this? We have n combination r plus 1 is equals what? Is equals n factorial over n minus whatever is here, r plus 1, isn't it? Factorial r plus 1 factorial. Now we can easily say n combination r plus 1 is equals n factorial over n 1 minus multiplied by r, that gives us minus r, minus multiplied by plus, that gives us minus 1 factorial, then we have r plus 1 factorial. Now we can now equate this guy to what? To 1:2, which can be easily be written as what? As n factorial over n minus r factorial r factorial ratio this is equals this, n factorial over n minus r minus 1 factorial r plus 1 factorial equals what? Equals 1:2, which is what? 1/2. 1/2. Now, there is something I want us to know as well before we proceed. There is something I want us to know before we proceed. Look at this n minus r factorial. N minus r factorial, n minus r factorial is the same thing. Is the same thing as n minus r minus 1 factorial. You can see that I removed 1 from what? From whatever we have here. With what? With factorial. How do we know if it's surely or if it's mathematically correct? Now let n equals 3 and r equals 2. So we have n, which is what? Which is 3. That is 3 minus what? Minus 2 factorial equals, now this guy, 3 minus 2 into what? Into n, which is 3 minus 2 minus 1 factorial. Now 3 minus 2, that will give us what? That will give us 1 factorial equals 3 minus 2 will give us 1 as well. 3 minus 2 minus 1. That will give us what? That will give us minus 2 minus 1 will give us minus 3. 3 minus 3 will give us what? It will give us 0 factorial. Now, 1 factorial is definitely 1. Equals 1. Now, 0 factorial on your calculator. If you press 0 factorial, the answer is what? The answer is 1. Multiplied by 1. Now, 1 is equals 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. Which means this formula actually works. So, if I want to expand n minus r factorial, is the same thing as what? As n minus r minus 1 factorial. Let's take a look at the second one. The second one. What about if I want to expand this guy? I want to expand r plus 1 factorial. I told you we are removing 1 from what? From the expression. That is, r plus 1 factorial is the same thing as what? As r plus 1 r factorial. Because minus 1 plus 1 will give us what? Will give us 0. Now, how do we know if it's correct? Let r equals 2. That is 2 plus 1 factorial equals 2 plus 1, then 2 factorial. Now this will give us 2 plus 1 will give us what? Will give us 3. That is 3 factorial equals 2 plus 1 will also give us what? 3 multiplied by what? By 2 factorial. Now 3 factorial simply means 3 times 2 times 1 equals 3 multiply 2 factorial simply means 2 times 1. Now 3 times 2 will give us 6 times 1 will also give us what? Will give us 6 equals 3 times 2 will give us 6 times 1 will give us 6. Meaning that this formula as well also what? also works, because the right hand side is equal to the what? To the left hand side. It's very, very simple. What you need to do is kindly remove 1 from what? From the expression. Similarly, if I want to expand this guy, it's the same thing as what? We have n minus r minus 1 factorial. Is it not? Yes. If I want to expand this guy, the answer will be what? The answer will be n minus r minus 1 factorial is the same thing as what? As whatever we have in the bracket, which is what? N minus r minus 1. Then we remove 1 from it. So minus 1 minus 1. That will give us what? That will give us n minus r minus 2 factorial. Very, very simple. What we need to do is to just remove 1 from the expression. Now, we won't be able to solve this problem without, knowing all these things. So let us apply all this what we've done into what we have on the board. Okay, so we have this to give us, I can equally say n factorial over, if I expand this guy, I will definitely have n minus r minus 1 factorial. I subtracted 1 from this guy. Then we have what? We have r factorial. Ratio what? Ratio, I want to expand this guy. If I expand this guy, I'm going to have n factorial, sorry, I think this board, n factorial over what? Over n minus r minus 1 factorial. I want to expand this. This will give us what? R plus 1. Then we have r factorial equals what? 1 over 2. I subtracted 1 from this guy. That's why I have 1 minus 1 will give us what? Will give us, that's why this r is standing alone. Now, this ratio simply means division as well. So if this division change to multiplication, the numerator of the other side becomes the denominator. It turns upside down. So I'm going to have n factorial into n minus r, n minus 1 factorial, r factorial multiplied by what? By n factorial. Sorry, it has turned upside down, right? This will give us n minus r minus 1 factorial r plus 1 r factorial over n factorial equals 1 over what? 1 over 2. Now, we all know that this can cancel this. R factorial as well can cancel r factorial, and n can cancel n factorial. So what do we have left? We have r plus 1 over what? Over n minus r equals what? Equals 1 over 2. Equals 1 over 2. So what do we need to do is to cross multiply. If I cross multiply r, that is all this at the numerator, multiply by 2, that will give us 2 into r plus 1 equals 1 multiplied or into n minus what? Minus r. Now 2 times r will give us 2r plus 2 times 1 will give us 2 equals all these times 1 will give us the same value, which is n minus r. Okay, so we can equally say, let us manage this space. We can equally say 2r, if I move this n to this side becomes minus n, or hold on, I have 2r here. If I move this minus r there, becomes what? It becomes plus r. Then this n comes there, becomes minus n. This plus 2 is here, so it maintains its positive 2 equals 0. Now 2r plus r, that will give us 3r minus n plus 2 equals 0. Let's call this guy equation 1. Don't forget that we are still dealing with the first equation. So let us use the same algorithm, the same logic for what? For equation 2. Okay, let us look at the second equation. Don't forget that the first equation lead us to this, so that's why I put it here, because of space. So let us look at the second equation. We have n combination r plus 1 ratio n combination r plus 2 equals 2 ratio 3. Okay, now let us expand this using combination formula. How does that work? We have n combination r plus 1. It has a formula n factorial over what? Over n minus whatever is there minus r plus 1 factorial, then r plus 1 factorial. What about the second one? The second one, we have n combination r plus 2. R plus 2 is equals n factorial over over n minus whatever is there, isn't it? N minus r plus 2 factorial, then r plus 2 factorial. R plus 2 factorial. Now we can easily put two equations, not even equation, they are expression number 1, expression number 2. So we can easily combine the two expressions relating to what? Relating to the equation given. So this will give us, we know that this is this, isn't it? That becomes n factorial into, now we have n minus 1 times r, that will give us minus r times 1 will give us minus 1 factorial, then we have r plus 1 factorial ratio. Now the second one, which is this, is it not? We have n factorial into n minus times r will give us minus r, minus times 2, that will give us minus 2 factorial, then we have r plus 2 factorial equals what? Equals 2 ratio 3. 2 ratio 3 simply means 2 over 3. 2 over 3. Now, what can we do here? I want to eliminate n minus r minus 2 factorial. And similarly, I want to eliminate r plus 1 factorial. What do I do? Meaning that I need to expand this guy, because this one, if I should remove minus 1 from this guy, I'm going to end up having this. Is it not? 2 minus 1 will give us what? Will give us 1. Similarly, I want to eliminate this. What I need to do is to expand this guy, because minus 1 will give us minus 2. This is what I'm trying to say in essence. Now, if I have n minus r, according to what we were told the other time, n minus r minus 1 factorial is the same thing as what? As n minus r minus 1. If I remove 1 from this guy, that will give us what? N minus r minus 2 factorial. Minus 1 will give us what? Give us minus 2. Similarly, I want to remove this guy. Isn't it? Sorry, I want to remove this guy. So what do I need to do is to expand this guy. That gives us what? R plus 2 factorial is the same thing as what? As r plus 2 r plus 1, because 2 minus 1 will give us what? Will give us positive 1. Then 1 factorial. So what we need to do is to replace this with this and this with this guy. So this is how it works. Okay, so I have n factorial over n minus r minus 1, n minus r minus 2 factorial, r plus 1 factorial, ratio, okay, ratio n factorial over n minus r minus 2 factorial, r plus 2, then r plus 1 factorial equals 2 over what? 2 over 3. 2 over 3. So let's also rub this off. Don't forget that this is equation 1. This is equation 1. Now, we have this right. We have n factorial over n minus r minus 1, n minus r minus 2. Then we have r plus 1 factorial. R plus 1 factorial. Multiply, because ratio simply means what? Division. So if division changes to multiplication, then it turns upside what? Upside down. So everything there at the other side turns upside down, where we have n minus r minus 2 factorial r plus 2, then r plus 1 factorial over n factorial equals what? Equals 2 over 3. Now, sorry, don't forget the factorial over here. It's very, very important. Now, we can see that n minus 2 minus n minus r minus 2 factorial can cancel out n minus r minus 2 factorial. And similarly, r plus 1 factorial can also cancel r plus 1 factorial. And the last one is n factorial can cancel n factorial. So what we have left at the equation is r plus 2 over what? Over n. That is this r plus 2 over what? Over r minus 1 equals what? Equals 2 over 3. Now what do? We need to cross multiply. If I should cross multiply, I'm going to have all this at the numerator multiplied by 3. This will give me 3 into r plus 2 equals 2 into n minus r minus 1. So 3 times r will give us 3r. 3 times 2 will give us what? Plus 6 equals 2 times n will give us 2n. 2 times minus r will give us minus 2r. Then 2 multiplied by minus 1 will give us minus 2. Okay, so let's move these guys to the other side. We're going to have 3r. If minus 2r comes here, it becomes what? Plus 2r. Okay, if this guy comes here, it becomes what? Minus 2n. 6 is already here, plus 6. Then minus 2 comes here, becomes what? Becomes plus 2 equals 0. Equals 0. Yes. So what comes up next is 3r plus 2r will give us 5r. Okay, minus 2n. 6 plus 2 will give us what? Will give us plus 8 equals what? Equals 0. Let's call this guy equation 2. Now we can easily get the value of our r and n when we compare the two equations together and solve it simultaneously. So comparing the two equations and solving it simultaneously, this will give us, equation 1, equation 2, we have 5r minus 2n plus what? Plus 8 equals 0. And equation 1, we have 3r minus n plus 2 equals 0. Now I want to use elimination method. I want to eliminate n. What do I need to do? You can see that the coefficients of n in equation 1 and equation 2 are not the same. So what I need to do is to make them uniform. What do? I multiply the coefficients of equation 2, so the coefficient of n in equation 1 by the coefficient by equation 2, and multiply coefficient of n in equation 2 by equation 1. Now if you look at the equation 1, coefficient of n is what? Is minus 2. Equation 2, coefficient of n is what? Is minus 1. So what do? Multiply here by 1, multiply here by 2. So this will give us what? All these times 1 will remain the same value. 5r minus 2n plus 8 plus 8 equals 0. If I multiply it by 2, I'm going to have 6r minus 2n plus what? Plus 4 equals 0. So if I should subtract equation 2 from equation 1, this will give us what? 5r minus 6r. This will give us what? Minus r. Now minus 2n minus 2n. Minus times minus will give us plus. Automatically this becomes plus 2n. So minus 2n plus 2n will give us what? Will give us 0. Definitely we've eliminated what? We've eliminated n. Now 8 minus 4, this will give us what? This will give us plus 4 equals 0. So I'm going to have minus r equals what? Equals minus 4. Negative cancel negative. R is equals what? R is equals 4. R is equals 4. Now how do we get the value of our n? By substituting the value of r in any of the equation. By substituting the value of r in any of the equation. Let's use equation 1. Equation 1, we have 3r minus n plus 2 equals 0. When r is what? Is 4. This will give us 3 into 4 minus n plus 2 equals 0. 3 times 4, this will give us 12 minus r plus 2 equals 0. Is it not? Yes. Now 12 plus 2 will give us what? Will give us 14 minus r equals 0. If I move this guy to this side, becomes what? Minus r minus n equals minus 14. Minus cancels minus, n is equals what? N is equals 14. Definitely the value of n is 14 and the value of r is what? Is 4. But how do we know that we are correct? To check, let's substitute the values of n and r into the what? Into the problem. You know, the equation 1 simply says n combination r ratio n combination r plus 1 is equals 1 over 2. Now when n is what? Is 14. This will give us 14 combination r ratio 14 combination r plus 1. R plus 1 when r is 4, that is, here becomes what? Here becomes 5 equals 1 over 2. Okay, now we were taught about combination of, sorry, here is what? Here is 4 because r is 4. Now we were taught that 14 here becomes 4. 14 combination r simply means 14 factorial over what? Over 14 minus 4 factorial, then 4 factorial. Isn't it? Yes. Ratio. Same thing applicable to this guy. We have 14 factorial over 14 minus 5 factorial, 5 factorial equals 1 over 2. I just want to cross check. Don't forget we said our n is 14 and our r is 4. Okay, so let's quickly do that. If the right hand side is equal to the left hand side, of course that's what makes an equation to be what? To be balanced. Now 14 factorial over 14 minus 4, that gives us what? That gives us 10 factorial. Then we have 4 factorial as per this. Now ratio what? Ratio 14 factorial over 14 minus 5, that gives us 9 factorial. 5 factorial equals what? Equals 1 over 2. Now what do we do? Of course, we know that this is what? Division. If it changes to multiplication, it turns upside down. We're going to have 14 factorial over 10 factorial, 4 factorial multiplied by 9 factorial, 5 factorial over 14 factorial equals 1 over what? 1 over 2. Now, if I should expand this guy, 10 factorial. 10 factorial simply means 10 factorial simply means 10 factorial simply means 10 multiplied by 9 factorial. Do you agree with me? Yes. Because 9 factorial, 10 factorial is 1 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 8 up to what? Up to 1. Now I can easily expand this guy to what? To give us 10 multiplied by 9 factorial. Because 9 factorial will give us what? 9 times 8 times 7 times up to what? Up to 1. So now I can easily replace this guy with what? With this guy to give us what? 14 factorial over 10 multiplied by 9 factorial 4 factorial multiplied by, look at this 5 as well. 5 factorial is still the same thing as 5 times 4 factorial. Now this will give us 9 factorial 5 times 4 factorial over what? Over 14 factorial equals 1 over 2. Now 14 factorial can cancel 14 factorial, 9 factorial can cancel 9 factorial, and 4 factorial can also go with what? With 4 factorial. So what do we have there? 5 over what? Over 10. 5 over 10 equals 1 over 2. Now 5 here 1, 5 here 2. 1 over 2 is equals 1 over 2. So that simply shows that the value of n is 14 and the value of r is 4. I don't need to prove the second equation because it has already satisfied the first equation. Thank you for watching. Catch you up next time.